What are the 5 tips to overcome his fear of commitment? We were recording videos, but I'm so glad to have you stay for the live, Mr. Coach Adrian. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited to meet this amazing community and to explore this very important topic together.
Yeah, I think it's very important to talk about the fear of commitment because I've coached so many women that told me, Alex, he was so into me. He was chasing me. He was in love with me. And a couple of weeks, couple of months later, he started to pull away. And this fear of commitment is now the number one topic in the conversation. So I want to know, have you seen this situation in your coaching practice? I know it's yes, but what kind of situation do you see most of the time when there is this fear of commitment?
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's a topic that is way too prevalent and common in this society. And so more and more, I see men who are in perfectly healthy relationships start to bail. And it's devastating, for a woman who has opened her heart and invested time and effort and energy into building a beautiful relationship, only to see it just fall apart for no apparent good reason. And so from my experience, the root causes have been, first and foremost, this fear of losing freedom and independence.
Okay.
Right? Men fear losing freedom and independence, and they associate commitment with this giving away something that is very precious to them. The truth is that it's not a dichotomy.
Do you think it's commitment, relationship, or both? Talking about words.
Both,
Okay.
yes. So men are afraid to be in an officially committed relationship. Men are afraid to move in together. Men are afraid to propose and to enter married life because they associate these things with losing their independence, right?
Okay. But how do you explain that it's not the case at the beginning when it's the attraction phase? How do you explain the difference between these two phases?
Because there are different seasons. There's different realities or chapters to a love story. And in order for love to really grow and flourish, well, you have to go through different seasons together and be able to overcome challenges together and in unity learn to grow together. But a lot of men just want that spring when it's new, every possibilities are endless, there's excitement and the chase, and men can fall addicted to the chase element, right?
Okay.
And so once they feel like, okay, you're no longer a challenge, or they start to see that there's some aspects of the relationship that require sacrifice, well, then they start to pull away. But this fear of commitment is just one of the root causes that I've seen. It's not the only one. But have you seen the same in your experience with men being afraid to commit in that way because of a fear of losing part of themselves?
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of fears that comes behind the commitment, the loss of freedom, the loss of your time, the loss of your own decisions. You have to make it work for both.
Right.
But I also feel it's coming from the past. When you have been in a situation that was difficult, a relationship that ended up, a relationship where your partner was codependent, you're scared of experiencing
100%.
the same situation. So that's why I feel the fear of commitment is the number one issue now in dating.
Yeah.
Talking to women, talking to you ladies, we know that this is the number one issue. And that's why I want to make sure that we will offer you some tips. So you talk about this fear of losing the freedom, fear of, being codependent or having someone that will rely on you.
Yeah.
What will be another reason? If you have to just give us some reasons of the fear of commitment.
Yeah. So first, I completely agree with this negative past experiences,
Yes.
right? I see that all the time too. Men were in relationships with a woman who perhaps lost control of her emotions, was codependent, was clingy, and so they're afraid of reliving that trauma. But it's not just about losing freedom or past experiences. There's also the weight of expectations that can really make a man kind of be a little bit shy and timid about commitment, right? It's built up to be this bigger thing than it actually is. To me, relationships are centered around commitment and trust. And it's a necessity in order for true love to be able to kind of flourish and unfold. But the expectations of society or of family or of culture or of the person that you're dating, this expectation that puts pressure And a lot of times, there's enough pressures. There's work pressure. There's, all sorts of pressures that we have to deal with. And we don't want our relationship to be another source of pressure.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I understand that, but I don't want to find excuses to men. So
Okay,
I love being
good.
no shortcut. No, meaning no shortcut, no explanation. I want to make sure that we will give you some tips, ladies.
Yes.
I do agree with you, Coach Adrian. We have known each other for years now, working together for over 10 years.
Yes.
I support you for the last 10 years. Can you imagine that, buddy?
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you for dealing with me.
So I want to make sure that we don't find excuses to men. I want to because you know me, I'm into the balance of power, the push and pull techniques, things that you don't agree necessarily, and it's good to disagree sometime. Yeah. So I want to hear your thoughts on, I feel men in today's world, they really love the challenge. And I teach women how to be a challenge, how to be on a pedestal, how to stop being needy, how to stop being so available. What's your take on this? Because you have a philosophy that is more grounded, I would say. But what's your take of being a challenge in today's world when it comes to dating?
I think it's necessary. For the relationship to not feel stale. Mm-hmm. For men to not settle, and especially early on, before you commit to one another, you want things to feel exciting, and keeping a man on his toes is good. Now the question becomes, how do we go about doing that? And are we doing it in a way that is manipulative, that is playing on their fears and their insecurities? Because I believe that long term that will have a detrimental impact on the relationship. Mm-hmm. Or are we doing that in a way that is really, building yourself up and in a way that you're proud of, right? So, for example, if we're seeking attention from other men to get a man to reach out to us or to get a man to commit to us, well, that can backfire in that this guy will trust you less, will be perhaps more controlling, more jealous, more insecure. And although he may commit to you, you're in a type of relationship that doesn't make you happy. Mm-hmm. That's been my experience. What about you?
I love it what you say, because yesterday I was coaching to an amazing woman from Miami. She told me, Alex, I told him I was almost about to cheat on him to make him react, to make him commit. And I said, if you do that, you will lose his trust. And in the meantime, he will feel that you're playing games.
Right.
And you will both end up losing the game. So the goal is not to play games or to seek jealousy. So what would be your end goal? Like, what could be your tips?
We talked about 5 different tips, ways, healthy ways to get a man to commit, right? Mm-hmm. So the first has to be centered around positive experiences together.
Love it.
Okay. So we're not shifting from a mindset of fear of losing him, of control, of jealousy, of negativity. No, it starts with positive experiences together where, you guys can really connect, have a good time, keeping things light, and leaving him wanting more, basically. So the more you're able to shift the focus towards positive experiences that emphasize fun and positive aspects of the dynamic, that highlight shared activities, that highlight mutual growth, that highlight how being together basically enhances your quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
God, every man wants that.
Exactly. Right? Every man wants that. I feel like the moment you can make him experience new emotions, he will forget his fears because he will be in the moment.
Right.
I really think that men start to develop the fear of commitment when they have questions in their mind. They are not they feel like they don't need to chase you. They don't need to conquer you. They don't need to, to be after you. In their mindset, you're here. You're under their charisma. You love them. You will be there for them. Yeah. That's when they have all of those fears. But when you continue to create new experiences, the fear will disappear to create more new emotions.
Absolutely. So that's one.
Yeah.
A second is to be able to reassure the man of his autonomy, not through words, mm-hmm. but really through your behavior and your being, right? Men love to live with passion and purpose. Sometimes it's by investing in their career or by being able to have a social life with their friends, whatever it is. We need that sense of autonomy as men to be able to thrive and flourish.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you can reassure him by not being clingy, not being controlling, encouraging him to pursue those things that matter most to him, the more he was going to gravitate back towards you because he's going to feel replenished. He's going to feel encouraged. He's going to feel uplifted by the dynamic, and you're going to be the dream girl.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned because it's related to the expression your partner in crime. You want someone that will push you. You want someone that will support you. You want someone that will show you that they agree with your perspective, your goals, your needs.
Yeah.
In the meantime, doesn't mean that you have to say yes to everything. You have to find the right balance in order for you to not be in a toxic situation.
Yeah.
So I want you to continue with your tips in order for me to, rebound on it, because there is one thing I want to share. But before I share it, I want to see what will be your tip number 3.
Yeah. So another element I think is centered around leading by example, right? So it's closely related to the previous tip that we just talked about. But if you show confidence in your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
if you show that you're not overly reliant on this man for your sense of happiness and well-being, if you show that commitment is something that looks that is balanced,
Mm-hmm.
that enables you to also thrive and to pursue those things that are most important to you. Basically, if you're not putting pressure on him to fulfill you and to make you happy, he is going to want to do that. You're being a challenge by really investing in things that align with your values and that matter to you.
Mm-hmm.
The more you do that, the healthier your relationship will be, the more balanced it will be, and the more you're going to be the dream girl again, and this man is going to want to make you his.
I love your philosophy, Coach Edwin, and thank you, Sylvia, and thank you, Mahek, for being here. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe. I also included the link in the description. Coach Edwin is doing an amazing masterclass next Thursday. If you want to get him back, get him to commit, if you want to understand more about psychology and Coach Edwin philosophy, you should come. It's a free event. Yes. The link is in the description.
Please do come. I'm excited to continue to share if this advice resonates. If you really love a man and want to get him to commit to you fast, or if you've been in a broken relationship and you want to rebuild that relationship, you're going to learn a lot.
I think it's time for a little debate, because I'm trying to find where we can disagree. Okay, we have been having a lot of fun recording new videos, sharing our philosophy. I think that sometimes for you ladies, it's good to have some advice that are very specific. So I tend to give some rules that are very important. So I tell the ladies that I coach, for example, you have the 66% rules, which means 2 times out of 3, you can say yes to him. But 1 time out of 3, you have to say no to show your sense of independence, to show that you're doing things for yourself.
Okay.
Coach Edwin is something with a different approach, I guess, on this take to really make sure that they will apply your advice. What do you think of this 66% rule? So 2 times they can say yes if a guy wants to see them, but 1 time I want them to say no to be the challenge.
I understand the rationale and the philosophy behind this. I disagree with it.
Of course. I know. That's why I'm asking you this question.
I disagree with it because, to me, it's about staying true and authentic to yourself, right? And so I would, and I think that this rule works. I'm sure that women get results. They get men to actually show more interests because they are a challenge. But I'm not concerned just with attraction. I'm concerned about laying the foundation for a healthy relationship, not one that's based on power struggle or manipulation. And so I would rather you stay true to yourself. Not always saying yes is important if you are sacrificing other elements of your that are very important to you for this man. So if you usually always go out on Fridays with your ladies, with your girls, and this man, on a Wednesday tells you, let's go out on Friday, I wouldn't cancel on my friends to go out with him. No, I say Fridays is ladies' night. I have to show up for my girls, but you can take me out on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So that is good. Saying no just for the sake of saying no can send the wrong message. And if you're with a man that's a little bit insecure, he may get cold feet and feel rejected and not be able to see that actually you are interested.
I love what you mentioned, Coach Adrian, and I agree to disagree with you because let's come back on this. It's important to be who you are, to stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
For me, before I was a relationship coach, I was very codependent. So being true to myself will be sending a lot of messages, showing a lot of fears, being asking for reassurance, which
Yeah.
is the true to yourself to a lot of people, especially also
Yeah.
women that I coach. So I feel like sometimes we need some rules. That doesn't mean to play games, but the rules of understanding that there is no Friday night. You need to create your Friday night. So you need to say no in
Yeah.
order for you to build a healthy relationship.
What you say is true. It's very powerful and it's true. I think that perhaps then we have to define what being true to yourself means.
Yeah.
Right. True to yourself doesn't mean just indulging in your feelings and emotions and just riding the wave. And that's not it. And I also agree that your whole world cannot be centered around a man and a potential relationship,
Love it.
because otherwise he's going to lose interest because you're going to cling on, right? So there needs to be a level of balance. But to me, staying true to yourself means not compromising on what is most important, on your core values, on your support system, just because there's a new exciting man that you're falling in love with.
Mhm.
And it doesn't, and means not indulging in our fears, our insecurities, which sometimes are hidden. And we feel like it's actually romance, but we're nurturing our fears. So this is where I think we agree in a certain way.
Okay, ladies, it's time for you to share with us what do you think in the comments. What do you think of the rules where you have to say no? What do you mean? What it is for you to stay true to yourself as well? I'm pretty sure we would love to hear from you.
For sure. I want to hear from your experience as
Yeah.
well. Like, what has worked, right?
Mhm.
If you've been deliberately, intentionally saying no, even though you wanted to say yes, even though a man was putting a lot of effort, perhaps in planning something, did it end up making him want you more? And did it lead to a positive dynamic?
The goal is to find the right balance. I think that 66% is the good number, ladies. You will tell me what you think in the comments.
Wonderful.
To move to tip number 4,
Yeah.
what would be another advice that you find very powerful for the women that you coach that want to get their ex back, wants to make him commit,
Yeah.
wants to build a relationship with no fears, and wants the guy to trust them as well? That's the number one, I think, need of the women that I coach. They want to make sure that he knows that they are here and they are not the ex. They won't make him suffer. What will be another advice that you have in this direction?
Yeah. So another advice has to be centered around communication. It's such a key, important element of all relationships and healthy relationships. So again, it doesn't mean indulging in your emotions and just sharing whatever is on your heart. I mean creating safe spaces for a man to feel like he can actually share what's on his heart without judgment, without backlash, without emotional guilt trip, without these negative emotions that start to make a man kind of resent telling you how he really feels. And so fear of commitment is often coupled with certain insecurities, and you want your man to be able to express these fears. And it's hard for men to be vulnerable and to do that, right? And so it takes emotional maturity, it takes restraint to be able to build this safe space based on trust, so that a man feels like his voice and concerns are welcomed and are heard. And the more we can work on that, the healthier our relationship is going to be, and the more we're going to be able to help this man kind of process his fears. We'll be able to find solutions in harmony, solutions that work for you both.
It's funny that you mentioned that because it was my tip number 4 as well. I never talk about it, but I think communication is just a key, an essential key to make him commit, make him avoid his fear of commitment, but also build this natural connection and a relationship that will be strong and that will last forever.
Yeah.
In my philosophy, I would tell the women I coach, look, you need to create a safe space and you need to make sure that you define almost every word, because men are scared of being in a relationship. We talk about it. That was your first point, and I love it. They are scared of being a couple. They are scared of losing their freedom. So the question is, what do they want that you want? And you ladies, you can respond in the chat. Most of the time, I want to enjoy the moment. I want to create memories. I want to I want to see how you live your life. I want to see what you love, and I want to show you what I love.
Yeah,
The more you create this emotional communication, men tend to be themselves. They tend to open up more. So instead of focusing on words where we don't have the same definition, look, Coach Adrian and myself, we know each other for a while now, and we still don't have the same definition for every word.
sure.
So it's the same in a relationship, I feel.
Mhm.
And creating more emotional communication can make him understand that you're different, you're unique. That's when a guy would fall in love. I feel men goes for the woman that they have a lot of esteem for her, meaning they really love her, they really put her on a pedestal
Right.
because she's different, she's unique.
Yeah.
That's what men are looking for.
It's true, and it's closely tied to my fifth point,
Okay, I
my
want to hear
fifth
this.
tip, which is centered around taking small, gradual steps together. When their man is fearful of commitment, trying to get him to, propose, move in, and have children all at once can be daunting and overwhelming. And if you're in the mindset of gradual progress rather than pushing for a large commitment all at once, then, with small, consistent steps, you can travel a far distance together. And so if a man doesn't want to propose to you, or to move in together, perhaps not making a big deal out of that, and instead focus on making plans 2-3 weeks out, right? So maybe it's like a weekend getaway at the end of the month, and getting him to feel comfortable with that can help him to start to project himself more and more into the future with you, rather than just living day to day and just planning showing him that you can project together into the future can be helpful.
I want to see if we have the same idea regarding the situation where he says no to everything.
Okay.
What would be your take on this one? Let's say you want to go to New York. You live in Miami, you want to go to New York for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
He says no. You want to go to the gym, he says no. You want to go to a specific restaurant, he says no. How do you manage this situation where a guy says no, or he will only date you at home, and we know what does it mean?
Yeah. So if a man says no but suggests alternative plans, it's very different to me than a man who just says no and wants to Netflix and chill, right?
Mhm.
So because no and suggest, okay, I don't want to go to Miami, I want to go to Cancun, or I want to go to New York, is different. This is just a man that perhaps is more in need of control, right? And there's some
Mhm.
men that need to
Love
kind of
it.
assert themselves, and you can know your man and you can work with that. Again, gradual steps. A man who says no and only wants to be friends with benefits, or is not showing that he's investing emotionally into a relationship,
Mhm.
this is where you need to value yourself, you need to draw hard boundaries, and you need to be prepared to walk away. Like, your self-respect and your self-worth cannot be compromised.
Mhm.
The more you value yourself, the more you will force him to kind of rise up to the challenge and to potentially evolve. And if he doesn't, then he's not the right man for you.
Mhm. I love what you mentioned, and it's two different situations: being not emotionally investing or not committing. And we have the same definition, because I tell women, if you want to do something and he says no, go and do it still. Because
Yes.
if you
yes.
say, okay, I want to go to New York, he says no, you go with your girlfriends. Trust me, the next time he won't say just no.
No.
He will explain himself. He will find a way to say yes, or to find an excuse that is something you can understand.
Mhm.
But if he says no, you say, okay, then I stay to Miami, but I want to go to this Italian place. No, I want to stay home. I'm tired. You said, okay. If you say okay to everything, why will he commit? Why will he change his behavior?
Yeah.
So I think that we tend to agree with to this one.
Yeah, and thank you for the comment. We have a dear
JK.
friend, that says, I think that many women, many of us tend to be impatient. It's true. It's true. It doesn't mean compromising your values, and it doesn't mean waiting forever.
Mhm.
But being patient and being aware of your man's reality. Again, we started the conversation by talking about the root causes of that fear of commitment, and it's important for you to be able to really gain understanding in that regard, so that you don't feel like you're waiting in vain, and so that you can help this man,
Mhm.
right? So if it is because of bad experiences that he's had, in past relationships, well, the steps that you take are going to be very different than if it's because he's afraid of losing his freedom, or it's going to be very different than actually a man who's emotionally unavailable and who is not trying to go there with you. So the more you understand the root causes, the more it can inform your next steps, and the easier it is to be patient as well along the way.
Mhm. So how many times in your practice have you seen men being able to overcome their fear of commitment? Is it something possible? Do you think that there is a lot of men playing games as well? Because
Yeah.
we talk like men are emotionally stable, or at least they have good intentions.
Yeah.
But there is some men, they want to play women as well. So I want to hear from your experience, what do you think of this text? Is
Yeah.
it do you think that men have good intention most of the time? What's your take on this one?
I've seen both sides of this, and some of the most beautiful, powerful love stories and
Mhm.
the couples that I've worked with were situations where they were in a beautiful relationship. The man had fear of commitment. The woman, in this case, was able to stay true to her values, to not settle,
Mhm.
and it led to men actually taking accountability, working on themselves, going to therapy in some cases, because they understood, they recognized that they were a big part of the problem.
Mhm.
And it's not easy for a man to choose to go to therapy. Many
Mhm.
men,
It's not, that's
it's
true.
a taboo. And in unity, working together to create a healthy relationship. So I have seen that happen. It can happen. It does happen, especially when you have the right support,
Mhm.
to kind of deal with your insecurities and deal with sometimes the patience and the tools that are necessary to put in place. I've also seen cases where amazing, amazing women who just were attached to the wrong dude,
Mhm.
a man that was just never going to be able to treat them right. And they were patient, they were understanding, they made excuses, they made more excuses, and it has real impact,
Yeah, for sure.
on your psyche, on your well-being, and then you are the one that's carrying trauma into the next relationship. And you may meet the right guy, but you're still traumatized from this other guy who wouldn't treat you right. So it can go both ways.
Yeah. And that's true because we have seen so many beautiful stories, and in the meantime, so much toxic situation where men will try to take advantage. But the good news is, when you have the right support, and I've included the link for women to work with you in the chat or in the
It would be my
description as
pleasure.
well.
Please reach out. If this is inspiring, if these tips resonate with you, come to my next free life training next Thursday so that we can continue to learn together. And you're going to meet amazing people who are fighting the good fight, fighting for healthy love.
Yeah, when you have the right support, ladies, everything is possible. You will be able to change the dynamic, change your habits, because it's all come down to what you have done so far didn't really work 100%. So a little twist can really create a new dynamic, a new change. And this is what coaching is about. This is what those videos are about, to give you some different point of view, different, advice that will help you build this amazing connection and make him commit because you deserve it.
Yes.
That's what I say all the
Yes.
time.
Absolutely. I agree. You
Yeah.
deserve it.
So thank you so much, ladies, for tuning in during this live. Thank you, Coach Adrian,
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
so good to see you. So I hope I can see you next time as well.
Let's do it anytime. I'm happy to join anytime.
But we need your advice, your question in the comments. Remember, make sure to hit the like button, to subscribe, but leave your questions so we can do another live. I will see you next week with Coach Andres. Until then, make sure that you apply those tips. Making him commit is possible. You just have to do something that will be a little twist from what you want to do, because you want to express your feelings, you want to talk about how much you love him, you want to show him so much love, but it's very important to understand the fear and the male psychology behind everything. So remember, all the links are in the description box. Click on it, and thank you so much, Coach Adrian.
Thank you guys. Keep fighting the good fight.
See you soon.
See you soon.